morning, everyone. It's Monday, March 30th, 2009. We do have a lot on the models to talk about this morning. There's wind swell right now in the water. We've got more wind swell that's going to be headed our way later this week. Some stuff down in the southern hemisphere that was around Chile that I talked about last week. We'll see a little bit of that come up around the 5th and 6th. Also looking at some more activity around the Aleutians that's popping up on the long-range models this morning. Looks like we might get some northwest groundswell early next week as well. And a little bit more that's out on the long range on the southern hemisphere. Wanted to talk about everything that's going on with the models. This is what's happening right now. So once again, first taking a look at the weather models, show you what's happening as far as the wind swell in the water is concerned. That's from that low pressure system moving down through the interior of the America West. High pressure ridging out in the Pacific, moving toward our area, causing some tight gradients along the coast. That stirred up some wind swell fetch, and that's what we're seeing today. It's going to be fading down tomorrow. Reason being, that low pressure system is going to be moving off more toward the east. High pressure moving into the area. As that high pressure in blue moves into the area, looking at some nicer weather moving in for midweek. Another low pressure system looking out here at a couple days, moving down from the Canada Gulf area, but still a lot of high pressure in our area. Just going to push that guy out toward the east. Really not come down toward our area, and that blue high pressure just looking real pretty sitting over Southern California. But then things change as we go out a little bit farther in time. Looking more towards the end of the week and weekend. Looks like another low is going to be diving down, this time down the coast, and another system's forming around the Aleutians. That one to be forming near the coast is expected to dive down, be right over our area by the end of the week. That'd be stirring up that wind swell into the Friday and Saturday time frame. And then as we progress out more in time, that would, of course, move, that low system would move to the east. But another one could be forming, dropping down from the Aleutians. That could spell trouble next week in the way of weather. As far as swell, looking at the models today, we do see wind swell right along the coast. High pressure, more indicative of blue. That's where it's just calm water out in the Pacific on the WAMs. A little bit of something up there in the Gulf, but not a whole heck of a lot. Wind swell over the next day or so will be fading along the coast. Let's look at 24 hours out. But then we see something moving in the Gulf area. This is a fetch that would be thrown up high into the Gulf. But it's indicative of what's happening weather-wise. Talking about that low that would be moving down, we can see that that system would be caught in that clockwise spin. Some wind swell would then be forming along the coast. And then something interesting happens. Going out 120 hours out, we can still see a lot of wind swell along the coast. This would be the Saturday time frame. Then a couple of fairly strong Aleutian lows would be forming as well. Got to see what happens with that. The first one could be bringing a swell right around the 6th. And then that next one could be bringing us something around the 9th. My bet right now is the first one will probably bring us some northwest groundswell around the 7th, and the next one around the 9th into the 10th. We're going to have to see how that unfolds over the next few days. Now just taking a quick look down at the southern hemisphere, we do have that system I was talking about last week in my last swell scan report moving toward Chile. Too much of an eastward trajectory for us to see much of it. Also too much easterly from the SoCal latitudes around 120 degrees. Still, a little bit of that will be coming up around the 5th and into the 6th, but from a very steep 170 degrees. Something a little bit more better potential for the angle, at least anyway. Some New Zealand fetch starting to form right now. That's not a very large system, though. It only has about 25-foot seas in it. It is supposed to progress into something a little bit bigger and with a little bit of a northward projection on it also. But it's not that impressive of a system for being down toward New Zealand. It's about 5,500 nautical miles away from us. A lot of decay from that system once it gets up toward our area, but it looks like we'll see something around the 10th. Not a whole lot, but something out of it anyways. So there you have it, wind swell in the water now, more wind swell by the end of the week. Looks like we will be seeing that next system move down more along the coast. That could also bring quite an onshore flow. That's all based on long-range models. That wind swell only gives us about a 12 to 24-hour window to really forecast that accurately because it has to almost be right on top of us. We do see some stuff, though, that could be moving our way from those Aleutian chain systems. Looks like something could be filling in around the 7th, then the 9th to the 10th. That could be some cleaner ground swell. Looks like high pressure will probably keep those systems far to the north. And then, of course, a little bit of something in the southern hemisphere, not a whole heck of a lot, but some 170 degrees southeast coming from that Chilean system, coming up around the 5th, building into the 6th time frame. And then it looks like we could see something from that New Zealand fetch around the 10th. Anything above waist high would probably be a miracle out of that. That's not a lot of a system down there right now with only 25, 30-foot seas. That's not impressive for that area. But still, I'll be keeping an eye on it. If you want to check all the swell ETAs, the wind, weather, tide, and more, you can always check out my SoCal Surf Report at wetsand.com.